Papa. Can y'all see me? Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your man Rico the opinionist. I finished my run about 20, 30 minutes ago. I was just sitting here, just gathering my thoughts. Y'all continue to like, share, and subscribe, and continue to follow this page. Just kind of look for a name change in the near future. And also a name change on my YouTube channel as well. Just look at some stuff that's changing this year for you, boy. Just changing some things, getting things in order. But I just want to, all days, we've been all over social media, as well as legacy news or traditional news outlets, TMZ included. Hey, Carmelita. Malcolm Jamal Warner, God dog, 54 years old, passed away as a result of a swimming accident in Lima, Costa Rica, while he was out on vacation with his family, wife and little daughter. I think his little daughter's she's 5 years old, barely 5 years old. I'm not going to make this a long drawn out. I just wanted to, I guess, contribute my thoughts to this, and then I'm going to move on. Because I don't know, I'm feeling a kind of sadness. There's a sadness there. It's something, because people like him. Can we talk about people like him in the world of celebritydom and famous people and all that? When I thought about when I heard the news, it's like, damn, you're going to disbelief a little bit. I'm just going to get to the topic of Corny Brothers. Y'all know that thing? And I thought about Michael B. Jordan. Why Michael B. Jordan? Because Michael B. Jordan is one of those good black dudes who don't bother nobody. He kind of keeps to himself. You don't hear crazy stuff about him in the news. And Malcolm Jamal Warner was, I guess, as far as celebritydom and who we came up with in the 80s and 84 when he was on the Cosby Show and all of that. Then when he came up, it was kind of hard for him to shake the Theo character. And I don't think he even cared. But in real life, he was just, based on what was reported and listening to his words in his podcast, he's a cool dude. 54 years old, damn. And I'm not saying this because he passed away or anything. I don't do all of that. I'm saying that I actually like Malcolm Jamal Warner. I liked him because I pay attention to people, these so-called celebrities and how they behave when they're not in front of the camera. And Malcolm Jamal Warner was always a dignified black dude. And, you heard some of his podcasts, some of the interviews he's done. He's always purported himself as a mature, masculine, well-rounded, cerebral man. And those are the cats, when I see the famous black dudes, I look for those kind of cats. And those are the black celebrity, if we're gonna be all up into celebrity and famous people, that's the kind of when we look at black male actors and singers, that's the kind of black dude I look forward to seeing on the screen or seeing on TV. Very non-stereotypical, up front, and I like the way he always, even when the Dr. Cosby nonsense was going on, he always stood by the man who gave him a chance, and he never said any side-eye stuff about him. He always, even to his last podcast, he said, hey, I'm proud of the show. The legacy will continue regardless of what people think. And one thing about it, Dr. Cosby was a positive influence on him and the rest of the cast, because you haven't heard any kind of nonsense from pretty much anybody. Keisha Knight Pulliam decided to become a baby mom and that crazy. But, shout out to Spelman graduates. Not all, but just her. Hey, Sandy. Carmelita, what's up? Sanchez Houston, what's up? And so, I like this. I like those kind of black men in Hollywood. Him. He said some stuff that when you're talking about representing the black community. He's my type of representation for the black community. You know, he said in later interviews in late 24 on his podcast, even when he in an interview with Sway in the morning, he talked about the importance of maintaining your integrity as an actor and actress. He said, you know, he said, I made sure that I was never in a position where I have to do certain things to, you know, to get on. And I think he quoted someone who told him, I think his mom was telling him that, you know, even, you know, the reason a lot of people last so long in Hollywood is the way they do it. See, when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not hot, you do things, you know, to just kind of keep you going until the next big role comes. He said, fortunately, I was financially stable enough when I didn't have to do desperate things in order to, I guess, you know, do some weird roles and all that kind of stuff. He really drove home the importance of integrity and dignity in this thing we call entertainment. Because we've learned over the years a lot of stuff people do, a lot of strange things they do for change, a lot of strange things people volunteer to do to get a record deal, to get a movie, anything, hell, to get on Broadway, the casting couches in all genres of entertainment. But he prided himself on never having to stoop that low to do that, like so many of your favorite actors and actresses. He also said, this is most important to tie in with, I guess, the point I'm trying to make. He said, I was very conscious about the roles I took because he knew who he's represented as a group as well as himself. And he did that. Because we wonder why we didn't see him in big blockbuster movies and all of that. Well, it's stuff you have to do. And Malcolm, you know, from his Cosby Show days, Dr. Cosby taught those kids how to save their money and invest and don't live like, you know, high on the hog, but, you know, live comfortably. But not like, you know, 18-room mansion for $18 million and all that kind of nonsense. He bought him a little spot in 1995, $484,000 in Studio City, California. And I guess he still lived in that house, even to this day, with his wife and his little daughter. Never heard any nonsense about him, drugs, dating weirdo chicks, and he went off and he ventured off into other aspects of his talent. He became a very good jazz musician. Now poetry, it wasn't his thing. He dabbled in that, but as far as him playing the bass and being around that scene, he was good. The bass guitar, that is. And he won a Grammy for his efforts in that genre of music. I remember he was on The Resident. He did a good job, and in every role he played, he was always dignified. He was always a man in charge. He never played a fool or a clown or a buffoon. He never did any LGBT scenes. He never did anything. Hold on a second, let me get up. Shit. Sorry. I was sitting too low. He never did any of those things that I say would embarrass himself and embarrass me as a black man. And this standard that I have for the way I rate black male actors, it started when I was a little kid, probably 8 or 9 years old, when I saw the first image, one of my first images of black men on television in this movie called Ragtime. And the actor in that movie, his name was Howard Rollins. And Howard Rollins in that movie Ragtime, if you've never heard of it, go check it out. It's an old school movie from 80, 81, because Debbie Allen was in the movie. She was young and gorgeous. Just before Fame, or during the time she started in the series, before the movie. I think during the same time the movie Fame came out, she was in that movie called Ragtime. It was a period piece. And he, even back then, he was Cole Walker, I think his name, Cole Walker Jr. or something like that. Howard Rollins didn't play. This was before Denzel. And I followed Howard Rollins' career on film. The next movie was A Soldier Story, where he was the colonel or the captain investigating the murder. They're in a segregated army barracks there, army, and then I understood that these are the kind of black men I want to see on screen. And in that movie, I was introduced to a young fella by the name of Denzel Washington. See, I have a hierarchy of black men and expectation in acting. I do. Because Howard Rollins, if y'all saw him on In the Heat of the Night, the series, which I thought, for me, I said, damn, they won't put him in the movie because this dude is excellent in him. He was excellent in that movie. Then he did television. I kind of thought that was beneath him, but unfortunately, his own personal demons kind of took him out and all the other stuff. But I'm always concerned about the imagery on television and in the movies when it comes to black men. So it's safe to say that there's not too many black men that I'm proud of when I see them in these movies, because they do such weird things now. In these movies, in these TV shows. And Malcolm Jamal Warner never disappointed. Even when he was like guest appearing on shows, he didn't play some gangster thug. I'm gonna get you, sucker. And please, Mr. Officer, please don't kill me here. He didn't do none of those around the road. He was a man in all his stuff. You know, he didn't push that stereotype, the thug, the gangster, and now what we have is a bunch of sexual fluid characters of black men. And now I just keep my eyes on Ion TV. I don't watch none of that nonsense on these on these streaming apps. Shy, P-Valley, BMF, and all this Powers, all of the spin-offs. I don't watch none of that bullshit because none of the images on there. No way. And so Howard Rollins set the tone for how I expect black men to be seen on television. The brother, I don't know if you ever watched this TV show called This Is Us. What's his name? Black. He was also in Black Panther. But I really appreciate him and his wife. He was in that movie, in that TV show. He ran for 6 seasons. I really loved that show because of how they wrote his character. He was a strong brother, expressive, stood his ground, loving to his wife and daughters. You know, I like that. And so Malcolm Jamal Warner, he was that for me. You know, and he was, I guess a lot of us looked at him as like, I guess as Michael B. Jordan was viewed by a lot of his black classmates as the little ugly voice lady would say, a corny brother. Well, Malcolm Jamal Warner made corny look cool. It made it look masculine. It made it look intelligent. It made it look like something that a lot of black boys today and other young men, black men, could really aspire to. And so his loss is a tragic loss. Because he was still young, just 54 years old, full of life. And I guess I feel most I feel the saddest for his little daughter. You know, and he waited, I think he had that little baby at 49 or 50 years old. And he was just, I guess, he hadn't even really gotten to the crux of it. For those of you who are parents, he hadn't really gotten to the crux, I guess, really got into being a father in his 50s. Man. And so, Malcolm Jamal, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you for, towing the line of dignity and self-respect. And I wish a lot of other black men had that same, who are in Hollywood. We know they're there, but they're the ones who don't get too many roles because they decide to not sell their soul or compromise their dignity and integrity. Most importantly, they know that when they're on their screen, other younger boys and young other black men are watching them. And I wish more black actors would be more cognizant of that when you get your ass in a movie or on television, black folks are watching you. And particularly if you're a black male actor, black boys are watching you. You should be mindful of that and try to only get on TV or in the movies when you're being a man. A real man, not the Obama kind of man, but a real man. Not the kind of man that Michelle Obama wants you to be, but a real man. Not the kind of man her brother is. Fruit Loops Zest Fest. But a real man. And Malcolm Jamal Warner exuded masculinity. You know, so shout out to all the corny brothers. Shout out to all the corny brothers out there. Don't stop being corny because the culture wants you to be a nigga in order for you to be considered a real one. It's your man Rico the Opinionist. Y'all be cool. Rest in peace, Malcolm Jamal Warner, and shout out to your wife, your mother, your little daughter, and yeah, and your legacy. Peace.